let us get on with our work for today. So to start off with, I've got something fun. Sorry, it's not feeling me right now. Got something fun that we're going to try to start off with. Usually we try end with something fun, but let's see how we go. And we're going to do some operations. Now, on Thursday, we did do some operations, but we sort of spent a little bit longer on them than I'd hoped, which means that I just want to try a little bit more, make sure we're all comfortable, and then sort of move on to more complex ones. So what that means is we're going to try some basic operations to start with, and then we're going to head into the slightly more challenging ones. Now, when we simplify an expression, which we're going to start doing now, there's certain things that we need to remember. Now, we spoke about bodmas or bedmas in our last lesson, which is absolutely fine if you want to work with. I work with figuring out how many terms there are in an expression. So what I mean by that is if I had the expression, say, for example, 3 plus 4 times 5 plus 1 minus 2, I would look here and I would see, okay, well, I've got my first term, my second term, and my third term. And then I would follow my order of work. So I deal with my brackets, I would deal with my multiplication, and then only right at the end would I deal with my addition and subtraction. At the end of the day, as long as you are doing your work in the correct order, so brackets first, then dealing with multiplication and division, then dealing with addition and subtraction, I don't really mind how you choose to do that, but your order of work or the order in which you do your work has to be correct. Otherwise, we're not going to get the right answer. Right, so that's really important. I'm going to stay there just for a second in case anyone wants to take a screenshot of that. But then we're going to have a look at quite a fun activity to get started. Right, you don't have to take a screenshot of those notes if you don't want to. If you feel that you are comfortable and confident with bodmas or bedmas, that's cool. But just in case. Right, I'm going to move away now. So what we're going to do to start off with is like a mathematical crossword. So what you'll see is I've tried my absolute best to color code it a little bit. I've also numbered it. So we've got across and we've got down. And we want to find the values that are supposed to go into the blank blocks. Now, we can start anywhere we want. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you guys a second to look at this. And then we're going to try and fill in this crossword. If you feel there's one that you want to try to start off with, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll start us off and then you guys can keep trying. Take a look and then we'll get started. Lesejo has asked in the chat, what are terms? Very good question. I think we did chat about terms in our first lesson, but I also could be lying to you. I think we might have actually spoken about it in the revision. I want to say like 2 weeks ago. But terms are basically parts of an expression. So when we're adding or subtracting things in an expression or in an equation, the things that we're adding or subtracting are our terms. Don't stress too much at this point. We are going to recap that. But we learned about terms in grade 8, and so we recapped it at the beginning of the year, but terms are basically the things we add and subtract in an expression. All right. Tiamo, do you want to start with one? You can pick any one you want to start with. Maybe I need to unmute you. Tiamo, are you there? Oh no, I muted you. That was my bad. I'm so sorry. Try again.
Hi, ma'am.
There we go. Hi, sorry, I didn't mean to mute you.
The answer is 24 for number one.
One across or one down?
One across.
Excellent. Well done. So guys, if we go to one across, which is this one over here, we need to ask ourselves 12 plus what gives me 36? You can do it on a calculator, you can do it in your head, but essentially 24. And as we start to fill this in, we're going to see that we have more and more information that we can then go and complete this crossword. Right, very, very nicely done. Wanga, do you want to try another one? You can do any one you want.
Okay, so 1 going down is 4.
Perfect. So 1 going down, we're now over here. Sorry, who knows why that's happening. 1 going down, 24 divided by what is 6? Now, Wanga, out of interest, how did you get 4? Like what method did you use? Did you just know it, or was there something that you did to get that answer?
I just knew it.
Okay, so this is sort of either you just know it, which means that you know your times tables really well, or this is now where we can go to inverse operations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to scroll over to where we have 2 down. We've got 24 divided by something must give me 6. Okay. Now, if we think about that, that's sort of an equation which we can go and deal with. And you can sort of imagine that block as an X. And so this is like an inverse operation. We need to ask ourselves, well, if I did the opposite, if I say 24 divided by 6, what would I get? I would get 4. And this leads us back to this idea of solving equations. It also leads us back to the idea of factors, because we know that 4 and 6, if we times them together, are factors of 24. Right, so our 1 down is, whoopsie daisies, our 1 down is 4. Very importantly, guys, it is not 6. The answer has to be 6. So what do I have to divide 24 by in order to get 6? All right, Tando, do you want to try another one?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to try 2, ma'am.
2 across or 2 down?
2 down.
Okay, cool. So 36 divided by 4 equals what?
So I wanted to say 8, but I'm not 100% sure.
My brain's clearly stopped working tonight, hey? Double check. You're very close with 8. It's not quite 8.
It's not quite 8, ma'am.
No, not 8. One more.
Wait. Ma'am, I forgot my answer.
It's okay. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. So really close there, Tando. Good try. But 9. Very nice. Okay, Eddie, do you want to try one?
Yes, ma'am. I want to do 3 across.
3 across. Okay, 3 across is now over here. We have just written the 9. Tell me.
9 times 5 is 45, ma'am.
Excellent. So here we had to multiply the 2 numbers together in order to get 45. Very nicely done. Okay, Bridget, do you want to? Oh, I don't know who am I muting. Sorry, guys. Bridget, do you want to try another one? Did Bridget leave me? Am I losing? Okay, I think Bridget lowered their hand, which is fine. Sapang, do you want to try one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which one?
Ma'am, I'd like to ask a question.
Okay, which question do you want to try?
Ma'am, how do you identify like terms?
Okay, sorry, I wasn't listening properly clearly. So like terms, we identify, and this will become more important or will become more applicable when we do algebra. So that's why I'm not stressing about it too much now. But like terms are terms that have the same variable and the same exponent. So for example, if you had x squared and 3x squared, because you've got x squared in both of them, they are like terms. So they must have the same letter and the same exponent. Okay, but we haven't started algebra yet, so we will chat a little bit more about like terms and how we identify them when we do algebra. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I'm just losing people here. Lufuno, do you want to try one?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like
Okay.
to try 2 across. Ma'am.
Okay, 2 across, so we're over here. What is 2 across?
It's 8 minus 2.
Excellent. So we need to get an answer of 4, and we know that 8 minus 4 will give us 4. Well done, Lufuno. Okay, Zoe, do you want to try another one?
Yes, ma'am. I want to
Okay,
try the 5 down.
5 down. Okay, cool. I'm ready.
I took the 11 and I multiplied it by 5, and my answer is 65.
Well done. Okay, so very nicely there, guys. Zoe's used some inverse operations in order to get to that answer. So very, very nice. 55 is our answer. Okay. Just quickly, just because I see Voltari put a question in the chat and I'm going to get distracted if I try type. There's definitely some that have a little bit more missing than we would like. So we want to try and get the numbers around it, like Eddie's just said, in order to eventually fill in those blocks. Hopefully we'll get there. Nana, Bridget, I see your hands up. Do you want to try one? Seeing as someone took your other one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, 8 down is 3
8.
times 13 equals to 39.
Excellent. Well done. So 8 down, 39. Fantastic. Well done.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. We're getting there. Novuyo, do you want to try another one? Novuyo? I'm not hearing you, Novoyo. You might need to double check your audio. We'll try Nana. Ndalo, do you want to try one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which one?
3 down.
3 down. Okay, cool. So we're over here. What's 3 down?
It's 22.
Perfect. Okay, so we know that something plus 23 must give me 45, which means that 22 plus 23 exactly gives me 45. Very, very nice. Right, I'm seeing some other answers coming through in the chat and direct messages. We're all doing really, really nicely. Kibetu, do you want to try one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which one?
6 across.
Right, 6 across, right at the bottom. Tell me.
So, ma'am, 63 minus 24 will give you 39.
Excellent, well done. So this block here should be 24. Thank you. Spiwe, do you want to give me one? Spiwe, are you there? There we go.
I'm not sure about the answer for number 4 down, ma'am. I think the answer is 7.
Excellent, well done. 8 times 7 is 56. Very nice, well done. Okay, we're getting there, guys. Very, very nice. I'm trying to not pick on the same people. Timberlitle, which one? Timberlitle, you there? I'm not hearing anything. I'm sorry. Hopefully we can try and figure that out. I hope I say your name correctly. But Sheila, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Hello.
You there? Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
7 down.
7 down. Okay.
20 minus 9 equals to 11. Then 9 times 7 equals to 63.
Okay, so can you just pronounce your name for me so that I pronounce it correctly?
Achira.
Wachila, thank you. Okay, so guys, we've actually done 2 here, which is very nice. And this is sort of what Eddie and I were both saying in the chat. Sometimes you need to do other things in order to get to the answer. So we did 4 across, which was 20 minus 9, which gives us 11. And then we did 7 down, which gave us that 63 that we wanted. Right, very nice. Sorry, I'm now just losing my mind. Okay, who have I not picked on? Siyabonga, which one do you want to give me? Siyabonga? Okay, we'll try to figure that one out. Amanda, do you want to try one?
Hey, ma'am.
Okay, yeah.
Ma'am, 5 across.
Okay, perfect. I'm ready.
84 divided by 12 to 7.
Perfect. 84 divided by 12 equals 7. Wonderful. Okay, guys, someone is not muted, and I really need to make sure everyone's muted. Otherwise, we're going to have some weird sounds going on. Someone's still not muted. Okay, I'm not going to carry on until we're all muted. So let's just try and make sure.
Oh, I found him.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nolutando, do you want to give us one? The last one, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
6 down. It's 20 plus 12 equals to 32.
Fantastic. Well done. So 6 down, 32. Very nice. I know there were lots of hands, guys. We are going to do more questions. There'll be more chances for you to answer, so don't worry. But very, very nicely done. We eventually got our crossword all done, which is excellent. Right, we are already halfway, but before we take a little brain break, I just want to, there's quite a lot of us in the class, which is awesome. But because there are so many hands, I don't want to sit and wait for people to try and unmute themselves and whatever. So we're going to implement a 5-second rule, and at least where you can correct me if I'm now saying the rule wrong. But basically, once we call on you, we're going to give you 5 seconds to unmute yourself. But if you don't unmute yourself, I'm picking the next person. Right, just so that we can get through hands and everyone gets a chance. Otherwise, we sit and wait for too long for someone to answer. Okay, Dimple and Amanda, your hands are still up. Do you have questions? If you do, you can leave them up. Otherwise, you can lower them. Right, Dimple, do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to answer some questions, but I can see they already answered, so
okay,
I'm fine.
We are going to do more questions, so keep on the lookout for your hand, and I will also keep a lookout for your hand. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Remember when you're
Alrighty, guys. So let us have a look at our brain break. Still very mathy, so we're not straying too far. Hope you enjoy my joke. Where do pencils come from? Pennsylvania. Laugh at it or not. Right, so for our brain breaks, I'm glad Annalise was at least laughing at it. For our brain break today, guys, we have got a sort of expressions or equations that we want to solve, but there's some clues that I've given you in order to help you solve this. So I'm going to let you guys have a look. And basically what we want to do is we want to figure out what the value of the triangle, the circle, the square, and the diamond are, so that we can go and find the value of the expressions, or the equations rather, on the right-hand side. So I can already see some answers coming through, which is very nice. If anyone wants to raise their hand to give us some answers, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'm going to just take from the chat. Bandile, do you want to start with the first one?
Yes. Triangle plus triangle is 3 plus 3. It equals to 6.
Very well done. So guys, importantly here, because it's 2 triangles, we're adding the same thing. So that means the numbers have to be the same, which also means now, as Vandile said, every time I see a triangle, I know that my value that I'm working with is 3. Right, Sapang, do you want to give us another one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me.
4 plus 4 equals 8.
Okay, so just, sorry guys, just be careful. It's a circle and a square, so those numbers might be different. So what I would suggest is try this one for me. 3 plus what gives me 4? What should I add to 3 to get 4?
3 plus 1.
Excellent, well done. Which means that now that we know the circle is 1. So Sapang, try this one again. The circle plus the square, what does the square equal to?
1 plus 7.
Excellent, well done. So now we know our square is 7. Very nice, well done. So guys, sometimes, even though it's gone in the order I've given it to you, sometimes we actually need to do some other things first. All right, Owami, do you want to give us the diamond?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do the circle plus square and triangle.
Circle? Okay, yes, no, I'm now here. Okay, so we're over here.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It's 1 plus 7 plus 3 is equal to 11.
Fantastic, well done. All righty. Wanga, do you want to give us the diamond? What the value of the diamond is in this last one over here?
Ma'am, could it be 3?
Excellent, well done. 7 plus 3 is 10. That was a weird 3. And so now every time I see a diamond, I know I'm working with 3. Right, so Piwe, so do you want to give us the value of this first equation up at the top here? You just need to unmute yourself. There should be a little pop-up. There we go.
3 plus 7 plus 3, that's equal to 14.
Close. 3 plus 7 is 10. So 10 plus 3 is?
Oh, 13.
Excellent. Well done. Okay, guys, exactly as Mpiwe said there. First one is 13. Very, very nice. Oh, gosh, sorry, I'm just clicking so many things. Paul, do you want to give us, we've got number 2. Do you want to give us number 3?
Yes. 7 plus 7 plus 3 is 17.
Excellent. Well done. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 3, 17. Very nice. Okay, Eddie, do you want to give us the last one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, the last one is 14.
Right. As Eddie said, 14. 7 plus 3 is 10. Plus 3 is 13. Plus 1, 14. Very nice, guys. Well done. Alrighty, so we figured out the values of all of our shapes, and we got the answers to our expressions. Very nice. Tsipang, I still see your hand up. Do you have a question?
No, ma'am, it was before.
Say again, it's from before.
No, ma'am, it was before when I answered you there.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. And Spiwe, I also see your hand still up. Do you have a question?
Ma'am, can I ask?
Yeah.
How did you guys get for the square? How did you guys get to the 7?
Okay,
Because
so
there's a
so for that one, what we actually did is we did this one first, but then we jumped to where the star is and we did that one second. The reason for that is because I knew the triangle was 3. So I could go and work out what the circle was. And once I had that the circle was 1, I could go back and do that 1/3. And so because I knew the circle was 1, I knew that 1 plus 7 must be 8.
Oh.
Okay, so we don't have to do it in the order that it's been given to us. We need to do it however makes sense to us. But we basically skipped 1 and then came back. Timothy, do you have a question for us? Or for me? Or there should be a pop-up to unmute yourself. Okay, not too sure what's happening here. You can put your message in the chat. Let's try one more time. Okay, no, right. Nice, guys. So let's carry on. So now we're going to have a look at some, we did like a nice fun crossword, but now we're going to have a look at some actual expressions where we want to find the values as we're going. So, darling, Miss Molly. So we've got the first one here, which is 24 plus 7 times -5. There's some negatives in here. We haven't really spoken a lot about negatives. Sorry, guys, but let's see how we go. So this is where we need to follow our order of operations very carefully. If we don't, we're going to end up doing something funny. So if we look at this first one, according to my order of operations, the first thing I need to do is brackets. Now this bracket over here is just -5. I can't do anything with that. So fine, it's brackets, but I can't actually do anything with my brackets. So then I go on to see if I've got any multiplication or division. Now what is quite helpful is to grab a highlighter and to say, okay, I can identify my multiplication. And in order for you to know which numbers to multiply, highlight the number on the right, highlight the number on the left, and whatever you've highlighted is now where you start. So we're going to start with 7 times -5. So we're going to leave the 24 there, and we'll leave the plus there for now. We'll deal with that all in a second. But now we're going to do our multiplication. Now, guys, remember I've spoken about SNV before. If you struggle with multiplication, remember SNV. Stands for signs, so deal with the signs first, then the numbers. We're not doing variables just yet, but when we eventually do algebra and variables, deal with the variables last. So in this case, I'm going to deal with my signs. I've got a +7 times a -5. We know that a positive times a negative gives me a negative. Then I'm going to go to the numbers. 7 times 5, nice and easy, 35. I don't have any variables, there's no letters, so I don't need to worry about the V. But now I've got my product, or the answer to my multiplication. Now I need to be careful because we know that something happens when I've got a plus and a minus next to each other. So quickly on the chat, what sign do I actually end up working with when I've got a plus and a minus next to each other? Watch English. What sign should I be working with? A positive or a negative? Eddie?
Ma'am, is it negative?
It's a negative, exactly. Because again, guys, when we've got a positive times a negative, we end up working with a negative. And so the sign I actually am working with here is a negative. And so my expression that I now want to simplify is 24 minus 35. And so now you can use a number line if you want. Obviously, if I tell you to do this without a calculator, you need to feel quite comfortable being able to do this. But now when I subtract these two, I get negative 11 as my final answer. Oh. So very importantly, and Elisa put it on the chat, bodmas, your best friend. You need to be using, or you need to be doing your work in the correct order in order to make sure you are getting the correct answers. Right, just quickly again, the reason we are working with the negatives, that negative in red, is remember because technically what we have in front of this bracket is a 1. We don't ever write the coefficient of 1 in, but it is there. And so what we actually have here, because remember between the positive 1 and the bracket is a times, what we actually have here is a +1 times a negative 35. And we know that a positive times a negative is a negative. And so, excuse me, and so we need to make sure that our sign is correct. Uma, it does show bedmas. I like bedmas more because it reminds us that when we eventually work with exponents, we need to remember to deal with the exponents. If you want to work with bodmas, that's fine. I don't particularly mind as long as you're doing the order correctly. I personally prefer bedmas, and we spoke about this in the last lesson, so you can go and watch the video there if you want to recap that. Okay, I'm gonna wait here for a second or two in case anyone wants to screenshot. I see some Sampue's got their hand up. Sampue?
What does bodmas mean?
Okay, so if we, let me go like this. So if we work with bodmas, bodmas tells us the order in which we need to do our work. So it tells us to do the brackets first, then division, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. So it gives us an order in which we should do our operations. If you go to bedmas, which like I say, I prefer, it tells us exactly the same thing. So brackets first, exponent second, division third, multiplication fourth. Oh, I panicked. Addition fifth, and then subtraction. So it just gives us the order in which we need to do our work when we get given a sum. Alrighty. Okay, I'll make that a touch smaller in case you want to get all of that all in one go. If you can't hear me, guys, you might need to log out and log back in again, or check the audio options. Right, you're taking screenshots. I'm moving on. 3, 2, 1. Guys, please can we try and stay focused on the lesson that we're currently doing? I know that some of you have many questions, but right now we are dealing with simplifying these expressions. I promise you all of the stuff that you're asking me is going to come up. So an LCM is the lowest common multiple. We are going to chat about multiples, okay? So we will get there. Right, so I want us to have a look at B now. B is negative 28 divided by 7 minus 6 times 3 plus 14. So there's quite a bit going on here, so we need to be careful. So again, we know that the first thing that we deal with is brackets. I've got no brackets here right now, so I can't do anything with the brackets. The next thing I need to check for is multiplication and division. So looking at my expression that I have here, I want to figure out where I have multiplication and division. Now, you can start with either. You can start with multiplication, you can start with division. but let's just identify for ourselves. Here I've got a division. Here I've got a multiplication. So when I deal with the division part, remember, highlights on the right, highlights on the left, that is what you divide. Negative 28 divided by 7. The same thing happens for multiplication. I've got, and you can include the negative if you want, you don't have to, but essentially we've got the 6 times the 3. That's the first thing I need to start with, my division and my multiplication. Now, if you want to do it step by step, that's fine. I'm going to do it at once, but you can do it step by step. So if I put a little block here, just for all my working out, if I take negative 28 and I divide that by a positive 7, remember SNV, let's start with the signs. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And then I go to my numbers, 28 divided by 7. Now 28 divided by 7 is 4. So the answer to negative 28 divided by 7 is negative 4. Right, then I go on to the multiplication. You can include the negative if you want. If you don't include the negative, you just write it down because it's still there. So I've got 6 times 3, nice and easy, 18. So I've got minus 18. If you had included the negative, you would have had negative 6 times 3. You know that a negative times a positive is a negative. 6 times 3 is 18. So you end up with negative 18 in either case. And then we've still got the plus 14 at the end there. Right, so Wanga, do you want to finish this off for me? What is my final answer?
Your final answer is negative 8.
No, the project manager came back to me to say
Negative 8. Excellent. Well done. Sorry, I had like a bit of a brain fart there. Negative 8. Very, very nice. So negative 4 or minus 4 minus another 18 gives us negative 22. And then I add 14 to that, which exactly as Wanga said, gives me negative 8. Right, now guys, if you are not doing your order of work correctly, if you're not doing your work in the correct order, you're going to get weird answers and you're not going to get correct answers. They might look okay, but if your order is not correct, you're not going to be doing your working out properly. And so it means that we're losing marks unnecessarily. So be very, very careful in terms of the order. So Naliso said it on the chat. I've now said it. Bodmas is very, very important. Right, so I'm going to give you a second to screenshot that if you would like, and then we're going to have a look at another one. Okay, last 3 seconds. Take your screenshots. Right. Let's have a look at C. So see, there's a little bit going on here. So we just need to take it step by step. Firstly, we have a fraction. Okay, now, whenever we have a fraction, what I like to do is I like to consider my numerator and my denominator separately. So remember, numerator's at the top, denominator's at the bottom. Now, when I say separately, I mean I'm just going to work with my numerator to start off with, and then I'm going to work with my denominator. If you want to do your working out on the side, that's fine, whatever you want, but let's start with looking at our numerator. So I'm going to do it on the side here. My numerator is 5. That's a very thick pen and seems a little bit aggressive for what we're trying to do here. We've got 5 minus 3 times negative 3 times negative 2. Remember, guys, when there's no sign in between a number and a bracket or between brackets, the operation we're dealing with is times. Okay, so if we think about our numerator, the first thing I want to do is my multiplication. But my multiplication in this case is actually all of that. All of that is multiplication. Now, again, you can do it step by step if you want, You can do it all at the same time. It really is completely up to you. I'm going to go step by step. So I'm going to first multiply the -3 and the -3. That gives me, I'm going to leave my 5 there. That seems like quite a bright blue. Let's just make that a touch darker. I'm going to have 5 because I'm not dealing with that just yet. But now I've got my -3 times my -3. Remember SNV? Signs, negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So I've got a +9. I'm just putting that in brackets to remind myself that I still need to multiply by that -2. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do the next multiplication, because remember, all of my multiplication must happen first. So now I've got a +9 times a -2. I'm still going to leave my 5 there. We know that a positive times a negative is a negative. And 9 times 2 is 18. So what I have is 5 minus 18. Now again, you do this on a calculator, or you can use a number line. 5 minus 18 is -13. And so in my numerator, or at the top of my fraction, I've got a -13. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my denominator. Now this denominator is a little bit trickier because we've got this weird sign thing going on here again. But what did we say happens when we've got a negative times a negative? Because remember, essentially what this is doing is saying it's multiplication. So Eddie, negative times a negative?
It's a positive, ma'am.
It's a positive. Excellent. Sorry, I'm just clicking things. And so in my denominator, what I actually have is 4 plus 6. And we know that that is 10. And so now my denominator is over +10. Now, whenever we get a fraction as an answer, and I'm just going to write this a little bit better, we always want to double check if we can simplify. So we want to double check if there's any number that I can divide into both 13 and 10. In this case, there isn't. I can't simplify that any further. Now, some of you might be fine leaving it as -13 over 10. Some of you might want to write it as a mixed number, and that would be -1 and 3/10. Some of you might even want to write it as a decimal, and that would be -1,3. It really doesn't matter how you write the answer. It's entirely up to you. Personally, I prefer improper fractions, but a mixed number and a decimal are both correct. So again, grade 8, we need to be very, very careful when doing our order of work so that we get our correct answer. Right, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything here. Looks like we're all happy, but obviously, you know, you can raise your hand if you need to. I saw that there was a question or a request to go back to the previous one to screenshot. So I'm going to stay here for a second. Please take screenshots of C. Or did I call you grade 8? Sorry. I'm thinking about my grade 8. And then I will quickly go back to B in order for you to screenshot. You are indeed grade 9s. I do apologize. Clearly my mind's just lost. I know you're grade 9s. Don't worry. It's just because I still think of you as my grade 8s from last year. I'll get it right. Okay, I'm hoping we all have a screenshot of C. I'm moving up to B. Please take your screenshot. And then we have a poll to do today. So you'll see the poll come up. Please make sure that you do it. Grade 9s. It is very important for us. So make sure you do the poll so that we can get proper feedback. Literally, you just have to click a button. Sandor?
Ma'am, I just wanted to find out When are we gonna be doing the top achievers?
As soon as I have those results.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so what we'll try and do, guys, is in terms of top achievers, Tanjo's talking about those who did really nicely in the quizzes. Everything quiz related we'll do on Thursday. So on Thursday, I will put up the top achievers and so on, and everything to do with the quiz will happen on Thursdays. Sipiwe?
Ma'am, can I ask that in the brackets, doesn't like the number in the bracket times?
Are you talking
Times
about
by
this
itself?
question here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Doesn't the number itself times it? Doesn't the number times itself?
So that would only be if there's an exponent. So if there was something like 3 squared, then it's 3 times 3. But here, this is actually just -3 times -2. Okay?
Okay.